I died on the operating table at 26, watching my mother hold my sister's hand while the anesthesia pulled me under. My last thought wasn't fear, it was clarity. They never loved me at all. Then I woke up, not in a hospital bed, not in heaven or hell. I woke up in my childhood bedroom, 13 years old again, the morning light filtering through curtains I'd thrown away a decade ago. My hands were small, my body was narrow and unfamiliar. The poster of that boy band I'd obsessed over at 13 still hung on the wall. My phone, my ancient, brick-like first phone, buzzed on the nightstand. The date glowed. September 3rd, 2010. I was back. I laid there for what felt like hours, testing my fingers, my toes, my voice. Everything worked. Everything was young. And most importantly, I brought my memories with me. Every single one. The years of neglect, the manipulation, the way they'd slowly bled me dry for her. And the end, God, the end. Let me tell you what happened the first time. Let me tell you what they did. My sister Vanessa was born when I was 3. I don't remember my parents ever looking at me the same way after that. She was beautiful, porcelain skin, honey-colored hair, enormous blue eyes that made adults stop in the street. I was ordinary. Dark hair, average features, the kind of child people's eyes slide right past. But it wasn't just that she was prettier. Vanessa was special. That's what they always said. She had potential. She was going to be someone. I was supposed to help her get there. It started small. Piano lessons they could only afford for one of us. Vanessa has real talent, honey. Maybe next year. The dance classes I begged for, given to her instead. She's already committed to ballet. We can't spread ourselves too thin. My college fund dissolved when she needed private tutoring. Your sister needs this more, you understand, don't you? I always understood. I was the good daughter, the responsible one. When I was 17, Vanessa was diagnosed with lupus. Our lives became doctor's appointments and medication schedules, and my mother's exhausted crying at the kitchen table. I watched my college acceptance letters pile up unopened while Vanessa got sicker. Someone had to help. Someone had to stay home. That someone was always me. I got a job at a diner, studied at community college part-time, paid for her prescriptions when insurance denied coverage, held her hair back when she vomited from the medications, listened to her cry about the life she was missing while I lived in a bedroom I'd never left. "You're so strong," my mother would say, patting my hand. "I don't know what we'd do without you." But there was never gratitude in her eyes, just expectation. When I was 23, Vanessa's kidneys started failing. The doctor said she needed a transplant. We all got tested. I was the only match. I said yes, of course I said yes. She was my sister. What kind of monster would I be if I refused? But then something strange happened. The doctors started asking questions about my health, my lifestyle. They discovered I had a rare blood disorder, nothing life-threatening, but it complicated the surgery, made it dangerous. Not impossible, but dangerous. The doctor sat my family down and explained, the transplant can still happen, but there are serious risks for the donor, increased chance of complications, potential long-term kidney damage. We need to discuss alternatives. "She'll do it," my mother interrupted. Not a question, a statement. I looked at my father. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I looked at Vanessa. She was crying, but not in the way you'd expect. Not with guilt or horror, with relief. "I'll think about it," I said slowly. My mother's face went cold. "Think about it? Your sister is dying." The doctor said there are alternatives, other donors, the transplant list. Could take years. She doesn't have years. But I could have serious complications. "You've always been healthy as a horse." My mother waved a dismissive hand. "You'll be fine." I wasn't fine. Over the next 2 weeks, they systematically dismantled every defense I tried to build. My father cornered me in the kitchen to tell me how disappointed he was in my selfishness. My mother stopped speaking to me entirely, communicating only through wounded sighs and martyred silences. Vanessa posted on social media about how hard it was to face death, knowing your own family won't help you. My extended family called, one after another, aunts, uncles, cousins I barely knew. All of them with the same message, "How can you do this to her?" I tried to stand firm. I really did. But I was 23 and tired and so alone. I'd spent my entire life being the good daughter, the helpful sister, the one who sacrificed. What was one more sacrifice? The surgery was scheduled. The night before, I asked Vanessa if she was scared. Not really, she said, scrolling through her phone. The doctor said my prognosis is really good. I'll probably be better than ever. I meant for me, I said quietly. She looked up, surprised I'd spoken. Oh, yeah, I guess it's risky for you, but, you're strong. You'll be fine. She went back to her phone. The surgery took 7 hours. There were complications, my complications. The rare blood disorder made me hemorrhage. They had to bring me back 3 times. When I woke up, groggy and stitched together, my mother was in the room, but she wasn't looking at me. She was on the phone, her back turned, speaking in a low, excited voice. Yes, the transplant was successful. Vanessa's already doing so much better. The doctors say she'll make a full recovery. I tried to speak. My throat was too dry. My mother hung up and finally glanced at me. Oh, you're awake. Good. The doctor said you'll be here a few more days. Try not to worry us like that again. Then she left. To be with Vanessa, I assumed, I spent 5 days in that hospital room. My father visited once for 20 minutes. Vanessa didn't visit at all. She's still recovering, honey. She needs her rest. When I was finally discharged, I came home to a house that had already moved on. Vanessa was installed in the living room like a princess, surrounded by flowers and cards and gift baskets. People came and went, visiting her, celebrating her recovery. No one asked how I was feeling. The pain was excruciating. The recovery was brutal. I couldn't work for 2 months, lost my job, couldn't afford my classes. My body, already worn down from years of stress and poor sleep, didn't heal right. The doctors discovered the kidney I had left was damaged, a complication from the surgery. Not enough to need dialysis yet, but enough that my life had been fundamentally altered. I would need monitoring, lifestyle changes. I might need a transplant myself one day. When I tried to explain this to my family, my mother patted my hand and said, "Well, at least Vanessa's healthy now. That's what matters." And I realized I had served my purpose. I was useful for what I could give. Now I was just inconvenient. Vanessa recovered beautifully. 3 months later, she was back to her normal life. Better than normal, the lupus was managed, the kidney was functioning perfectly. She started dating a successful lawyer, got a marketing job at a trendy company, posted endless photos of her new, healthy, vibrant life. I was still living at home, still recovering, still trying to figure out what I was supposed to do with a damaged body and a depleted bank account. One night, she came home late from a party. I was in the kitchen, heating up leftovers, when she breezed past me. "Hey," I said, how are you feeling?" "Amazing," she said, grabbing a bottle of wine from the fridge. "My life is literally perfect right now." She paused at the doorway, looking back at me. For a moment, I thought she might say something, thank me, acknowledge what I'd given her. Instead, she wrinkled her nose. "You should really do something about yourself, you know? You look awful. It's kind of depressing." Then she left. I stood there in that kitchen, something inside me finally cracking. Over the next 3 years, I tried to rebuild. Went back to school, got a new job, moved into a tiny apartment. But my body never fully recovered. I was tired all the time, sick frequently, the damaged kidney slowly getting worse. Vanessa's life, meanwhile, bloomed. She got engaged to the lawyer. They bought a house. She got promoted. Everything she touched turned golden. We barely spoke. When we did, it was surface-level pleasantries that felt like swallowing glass. Then, at 26, my kidney failed completely. I was at work when it happened, sudden, brutal pain that dropped me to my knees. The hospital, the diagnosis, the grim-faced doctor explaining that I needed a transplant now. My family got tested. None of them were a match, not my mother, not my father. And Vanessa was automatically disqualified because she'd already received a transplant. You can't donate if you're a transplant recipient. The irony was suffocating. I went on the transplant list, waited, got sicker. My body was rejecting dialysis. The doctor said my case was complicated. That rare blood disorder again, making me a difficult match. I had maybe 6 months. 5 months in, a match was found. A miracle, the doctor said. Someone had died in a car accident across the country. Their kidney was viable. My surgery was scheduled. I called my parents, crying with relief. I have a match. I'm going to be okay. That's wonderful, honey, my mother said, but her voice was distracted. What's wrong? A long pause. It's Vanessa. Her body is rejecting the kidney. The bottom dropped out of my stomach. What? It's rare, but it happens. Her immune system is attacking it. She needs another transplant. My mother's voice cracked. Soon. But she'll go on the list, right? She'll find Sid. The doctors say she's very sick. She might not survive the wait. I closed my eyes. Mom, the kidney you've been matched with, it's viable for her too. I couldn't breathe. The doctors say they can transfer the match. That because she's in more immediate danger, she would take priority. But legally, because it was matched to you first, you would have to agree to give it up. No, I whispered. What? No, I need it. I'm dying too. You have more time. The doctor said 6 months, maybe, and that's if I'm lucky. Vanessa has weeks. Maybe days. Then she goes on the emergency list. She finds another match. There won't be time. My mother's voice rose, sharp and desperate. Please. You have to do this. You have to save her. I already saved her. I gave her my kidney. I destroyed my body for her. And now you need to do it again. I started laughing. Horrible broken sounds. You're asking me to die for her. You won't die. You'll find another match. You don't know that. Please. My mother was crying now. Please. She's your sister. I'm begging you. I hung up. For 2 days, I didn't answer their calls. I sat in my hospital room, hooked up to machines, feeling my body slowly shutting down, and I tried to figure out what kind of person I was. Was I the person who let her sister die? Or was I the person who let herself die? On the 3rd day, my father came to the hospital. He looked older than I'd ever seen him, his face gray with exhaustion. Your mother is beside herself, he said quietly. I know. Vanessa is very sick. So am I. He sat in the chair beside my bed, silent for a long moment, then, I know we haven't been fair to you. I know we've asked too much, but she's my daughter. I can't lose her. I'm your daughter too. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw it in his eyes. I was already lost. I had been lost a long time ago. Vanessa was the daughter who mattered. I was just the spare parts. If you do this, he said slowly, we'll make it up to you. I promise. We'll take care of you, whatever you need. I didn't believe him, but I was so tired, and some awful, broken part of me still wanted them to love me. Still thought maybe if I did this one last thing, they would finally see me as valuable, as worthy. I signed the forms. The kidney went to Vanessa. I deteriorated rapidly after that. Without the transplant, my body began to fail. I went back on the list, but my case was so complex now, so compromised. The chances of finding another match were slim. I had maybe 2 months left when my mother visited me in hospice. Vanessa's doing well, she said, arranging flowers someone had sent, for Vanessa probably. The transplant took. She's going to make a full recovery. That's good, I whispered. My voice was barely there anymore. Her wedding is next month. She's thinking of postponing, but the doctors say she'll be healthy enough. Isn't that wonderful? I didn't answer. My mother sat down, taking my hand. Her eyes were wet. I know this is hard. But you did the right thing. You saved her life. Did I save mine? She blinked. What? Did I save my own life, Mom? Ever? She didn't answer. I died 3 weeks later, at 26 years old, alone in a hospice room at 2 in the morning. My family was at home, sleeping. My last thought, as the world went dark, was that I had spent my entire life being sacrificed, and no one had even noticed. Then I woke up at 13. The first thing I did was test if it was real. I walked downstairs. My mother was in the kitchen, younger, her hair still dark, making breakfast. Vanessa sat at the table, 10 years old, playing on a tablet. "Morning, sweetie," my mother said absently. I stared at them both. My family. The people who would slowly kill me. "I don't feel well," I said. "I think I'll stay home from school." My mother frowned. "You're not running a fever. Are you sure you're not just—" "I'm sure." Something in my voice made her look up. I watched her process my expression, harder than a 13-year-old should be. Colder. "All right," she said slowly. "Just for today." I went back to my room and started planning. First, information. I looked up everything I could about organ donation, transplant matches, the medical system. I scoured the internet for details about lupus, kidney disease, genetic compatibility. Then I found it, a medical journal article about sibling transplant matches and genetic markers. I was Vanessa's only viable match because of our specific genetic compatibility. Not just any donor would work for her. Her lupus made her immune system highly sensitive. The article estimated that for patients with her profile, the chance of finding an unrelated match was less than 2%. I was her only hope, and she didn't know it yet. Second, protection. I needed to ensure that when the time came, when Vanessa got sick, I wouldn't be forced or manipulated into donating again. I started documenting everything, every time they chose Vanessa over me, every time they dismissed me, every time I was an afterthought. I kept journals, saved messages, recorded conversations, building a paper trail of favoritism and neglect. But more importantly, I started building a life they couldn't leverage. I applied myself in school, not for them, but for me. I got perfect grades, won scholarships, built relationships with teachers and counselors who saw me as a person, not just Vanessa's sister. I babysat and saved every penny, opening a secret bank account my parents didn't know about. When I was 15, I got tested for the blood disorder that had complicated my first transplant. It was there, dormant. I took the results to our family doctor and made sure it was prominently documented in my medical records. Made sure there was a paper trail showing I had a condition that made organ donation high risk for me. When I was 16, I started having my blood work done regularly, tracking the disorder, documenting every fluctuation, creating a medical history that would make any transplant surgeon hesitate. I also started seeing a therapist. Told her everything, how overlooked I felt, how my parents favored my sister, how afraid I was of losing myself in their expectations. "That sounds incredibly difficult," Dr. Chen said during one session. "I'm worried," I told her, "that someday they'll ask me to give up something I can't afford to lose, and I won't know how to say no." She wrote it down. More documentation. More proof that the pressure existed, that I was aware of it, that I was vulnerable to it. I was building armor, and then I waited. Vanessa was diagnosed with lupus when she was 14. I was 17. It was exactly on schedule. Same age, same timeline. Watching it unfold again was surreal. The doctor's appointments, the medications, my mother's tears, but this time I was different. "We're going to need your help," my mother said one evening. "Vanessa needs support right now, family support." "Of course," I said. "I'll help however I can." "Your father and I were thinking, maybe you could defer college for a year, just to help out while we adjust." "No." My mother blinked. "What?" "I'm not deferring college." I kept my voice calm, reasonable. "I've worked hard for my scholarships. I'm not giving them up." "This isn't about you. I know, and I'll help when I'm home, but I'm not sacrificing my future." "Vanessa is sick. I know, it's terrible, but me putting my life on hold won't make her better." My mother's face went cold. It was the same look she'd given me in that other life when I'd hesitated about the transplant. "I never thought you'd be this selfish," she said quietly. It hurt. Even knowing it was coming, even knowing what she'd done, what she would do, it still hurt. But I died. For these people once. I wouldn't do it again. I went to college, got a degree in finance, graduated with honors, got a job at a prestigious firm in the city, built a life that was mine. I visited home for holidays, was polite, friendly even, but I kept my distance. Vanessa's lupus was managed with medication for years. She lived normally mostly. I watched her navigate high school, then college from afar. She was still the golden child, still beautiful and special, and destined for greatness. I didn't hate her. I wanted to, but I couldn't. She was just a kid who'd been raised to believe she mattered more. That wasn't entirely her fault. But I didn't love her either, not anymore. When I was 23, Vanessa's kidneys started failing. My mother called me at work. "We need you to come home. It's an emergency." I took the train home that weekend. The house looked the same. My family looked older, more tired. Vanessa looked fragile, her skin sallow, dark circles under her eyes. "The doctors say she needs a transplant," my father explained. I nodded. "I'm sorry, that's really hard." "We're all getting tested," my mother said, "to see if anyone's a match." I already knew the results. None of them would match. I was the only one. But here's what I'd learned in my research. You can't force someone to get tested. You can't compel genetic screening. It's a voluntary process, protected by medical privacy laws. "I hope you find a match," I said. My mother frowned. "You're getting tested too, right?" "No." The room went silent. "What do you mean, no?" my father said slowly. "I mean, I'm not getting tested as a donor match." "Why not?" I'd prepared for this, practiced this conversation in my head 1,000 times. "Because of my blood disorder. The doctors told me years ago that organ donation would be high risk for me. I'm not willing to take that risk." "What blood disorder?" My mother's voice rose. "The one I was diagnosed with at 15. It's all in my medical records." I watched them process this. They'd never paid attention to my health, never asked. They didn't even know I'd been seeing doctors regularly, building that paper trail. But we can talk to your doctors," my mother stammered. "Get their opinion. I've already consulted with them. They advised against it." "You haven't even been tested yet. You don't know if you're a match, and I won't know because I'm not getting tested." Vanessa started crying. Soft, wounded sounds. "You're really not going to help me?" I looked at her. 20 years old, her whole life ahead of her, the same age I'd been when I'd given her my kidney the first time. "I'm sorry you're sick," I said. "Truly, but I can't help you, not like this." "Can't or won't?" my father demanded. "Does it matter?" "Yes, your sister is dying." "Then she needs to find a match. There are transplant lists, donor programs. That could take years." "I know." My voice was steady, hard. "I'm sorry, but my answer is no." I left that weekend and didn't go back. They called constantly, texted, emailed. My extended family started a campaign. Aunts and uncles I barely knew reached out to tell me what a terrible person I was. How could I let my sister die? I blocked most of them. My mother showed up at my apartment one night, 3 months later. She looked hollowed out, desperate. "Please," she said. "Just get tested. That's all I'm asking. Just see if you're a match." "No." "Why are you doing this?" I almost laughed. "Why do you think? If this is about us not being perfect parents, it's not about that." "Then what?" I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the same woman who'd stood in my hospital room and talked about Vanessa's recovery while I bled out internally. Who'd asked me to give up my transplant match while I was dying. Who'd never once asked how I was feeling. "It's about the fact that you never loved me," I said quietly. "Not really. I was only valuable when I could give you something, when I could sacrifice for Vanessa, and I'm done being a sacrifice." "That's not true. When's my birthday, Mom?" She blinked. "What?" "My birthday. What's the date?" She opened her mouth, closed it, her face went red. You don't know, I said. You don't know your own daughter's birthday. That's not fair. It's August 17th. I'm 23 years old. I work in finance. My favorite color is green. I'm allergic to shellfish. I had pneumonia when I was 9 and you didn't notice for 3 days because you were busy with Vanessa's dance recital. My mother's eyes filled with tears. You don't know me, I continued. You never did, because I was never supposed to matter. I was just supposed to give. Please, she whispered. I know we haven't been good to you. I know we failed you. But she's your sister. She's dying. Doesn't that mean anything? It means I'm sorry she's suffering. But it doesn't mean I have to destroy myself to save her. Just get tested, please. If you're not a match, fine. But at least try. If I get tested and I am a match, you'll pressure me to donate. You'll make my life hell until I give in. You'll call me a murderer. You'll weaponize guilt and family and obligation until I break. I know you will, because that's what you've always done. We just want to save her, and you'll sacrifice me to do it. Again. I shook my head. No, I'm not getting tested, and you can't make me. She left sobbing. Vanessa got sicker. I knew she would. Without a compatible donor, her chances were slim. She went on the transplant list, waited, got weaker. I followed her decline through social media. She posted less frequently now. Her photos showed a girl growing gaunt and tired. Her fiancé, a different man than in my first life, left her 6 months in. Can't handle it, she wrote in a since-deleted post. He said I'm too much work. I felt a twinge of sympathy, but only a twinge. My parents stopped contacting me. The silence was almost worse than the harassment. I knew what it meant. I was dead to them, the bad daughter, the selfish one. I'd saved my own life, and they hated me for it. 1 year after her diagnosis, Vanessa's case made local news. Young woman's fight for survival, the headline read. The article painted her as a tragic figure. Beautiful, vibrant, stolen away by disease. It mentioned, briefly, that her family had been tested as potential donors, but none were viable matches. It didn't mention me at all. I was erased. As if I'd never existed. I should have been relieved. This was what I wanted, freedom from their expectations, their demands. I'd saved myself. But some nights I lay awake wondering if I was a monster, if I could have helped, should have helped, and chose not to. If the life I'd saved was worth the guilt. Then I'd remember dying at 26. Alone, unmourned, my kidney in Vanessa's body and my family at her wedding while I rotted in hospice. And I'd sleep soundly. The call came 18 months after Vanessa's diagnosis. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Is this Morgan? A professional voice, female. Yeah. This is Jennifer Kim from the National Kidney Registry. I'm calling because you've been flagged in our database as a potential match for a patient in critical need. My blood went cold. I haven't registered as a donor. No, but you were tested years ago for a different medical issue, and that genetic data was anonymized and entered into our research database. It's standard practice. The patient I'm calling about has a very rare genetic profile, and our algorithm flagged you as a potential 95% compatibility match. I'm not interested in donating. I understand this is unexpected, but this patient is No, I have a blood disorder that makes donation dangerous for me. It's documented. I see that in your medical file. But with modern surgical techniques and the right medical team, it could be managed. I said no. A pause. The patient is your sister. Of course it was. I know who it is, I said. And my answer is still no. Miss Morgan, I have to tell you, your sister's chances without a transplant are very slim, and you're the only viable match we've found, the only one. I know. You know? Yes, I know. My voice was hard, and I'm still refusing. Another pause, longer this time. Can I ask why? That's personal. Miss Morgan, I'm not donating my kidney. Not to her, not to anyone. You can't force me, and I'm not changing my mind. Please remove me from your database and don't contact me again. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I sat down on my couch, staring at my phone, waiting for it to ring again. It didn't. Vanessa died 3 months later. I found out through Facebook. A memorial post from one of her friends. Taken too soon. Fly high, Angel. I stared at the screen for a long time, feeling nothing. Then everything. Then nothing again. She was 21 years old. I didn't go to the funeral. I wasn't invited. But I drove past the church that day, watching from a distance as people filed in. My parents looked destroyed, hollowed out, barely able to walk. I saw aunts, uncles, cousins, friends from high school, Vanessa's ex-boyfriend, looking appropriately sad. I waited until everyone was inside, then I drove home. That night, drunk on wine I couldn't afford, I wrote my family a letter I would never send. Dear Mom, Dad, and Vanessa, you took everything from me. My childhood, my opportunities, my health, my life. And you never even noticed. You never asked what I wanted, what I needed, what I dreamed about. I was just a resource to be mined, a sacrifice to be made. In another life, I gave Vanessa my kidney. I gave her everything, and I died for it, alone, while you celebrated her recovery. You never even thanked me. You never mourned me. So in this life, I chose differently. I saved myself, and I won't apologize for it. You want to know what kind of person lets her sister die? The kind who already died for her once. Goodbye. I burned the letter in my sink and watched the ashes swirl down the drain. 5 years passed. I built a good life, a career I was proud of, friends who actually cared about me, a small apartment I decorated exactly how I wanted. I dated casually, traveled when I could afford it, took up hobbies I'd always dreamed about. I saw a therapist regularly, processed the trauma of my first life, the guilt of my second. Do you regret it? Dr. Chen asked during one session. Your decision? Sometimes, I admitted. But then I remember what they did to me, who they made me, and I realize I don't regret saving myself. I just regret that I had to. That's fair. Is it enough to just survive? Surviving, Chen said gently, is more than enough. Especially when the alternative was dying for people who never valued you. I never spoke to my parents again. They never tried to contact me after Vanessa's death. I was the daughter who'd killed their golden child. There was no coming back from that. But one day, 7 years after Vanessa died, I got a letter in the mail. It was from my father. Morgan, your mother passed away last month. Lung cancer. She didn't want me to tell you. Said you'd made your choice. I'm not writing to invite you to the funeral. It's already happened. I'm writing because I've been doing a lot of thinking and I owe you something. The truth, maybe. Or at least an apology. You were right about all of it. We didn't love you the way we should have. We didn't see you. We used you. And when you finally stood up for yourself, we punished you for it. I've spent these last 7 years being angry at you, blaming you for Vanessa's death. But the truth is, we killed her, not you. We made her believe she was entitled to everything, including your body, your sacrifice. We made you believe you were only valuable when you were giving. We were terrible parents, and I'm sorry. I know it's too late. I know you won't forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know it wasn't your fault, none of it. You had every right to save yourself. Your mother died hating you. I don't want to die the same way. I'm sorry. Dad, I read the letter 3 times, then I put it in a drawer and went about my day. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe I'd find it in myself to forgive him, to reach out, to rebuild some small connection, but not today. Today, I had a life to live, a life I'd fought for, a life that was mine. I'd been reborn into a second chance, and I'd made a different choice. Not because I was cruel, not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood that I mattered too. They'd forced me to give her everything once. After Rebirth, I gave her nothing, and I was free. 10 years after Vanessa's death, I was 33 and thriving. I'd made senior analyst at my firm, bought a condo with a view of the water, fell in love with a kind man who thought I hung the moon. We got engaged on a beach in Costa Rica, the sunset turning everything gold. I was happy, genuinely, deeply happy. On what would have been Vanessa's 31st birthday, I visited her grave for the first time. It was in a cemetery on the edge of town under an oak tree. The headstone was simple: Vanessa Marie Turner, beloved daughter and sister, gone too soon, beloved sister. I stood there for a long time trying to feel something: guilt, grief, regret, but all I felt was peace. "I'm sorry you died," I said quietly. "I'm sorry you were sick. I'm sorry our parents failed us both." The wind rustled the leaves overhead. "But I'm not sorry I chose myself. I'm not sorry I survived." I placed a single flower on her grave, a white lily for rebirth, and walked away. I never went back. The story could end there. The protagonist triumphing, the antagonist defeated, the revenge complete. But life isn't that simple. And the truth is, some nights, I still wonder about the girl Vanessa could have been. If our parents had loved us equally, if she hadn't been taught that she deserved everything and I deserved nothing. If we'd been actual sisters instead of rivals in a game only one of us knew we were playing. In my first life, I saved her and it killed me. In this life, I let her die and it saved me. There's no moral to this story, no clean lesson about family or sacrifice or doing the right thing. There's just me, standing on the other side of an impossible choice, alive when I should be dead, and that's enough. I'm 33 years old, I'm healthy, I'm loved, I'm free. I'm the girl who died for her family once and refused to do it again, and I'd make the same choice 1,000 times over, because they forced me to give her everything the first time. After rebirth, she never knew I was her only sauce, hope, and I never told her.